O.J. Simpson, Casey Anthony, and more recently Alex Murdaugh. The list of high-profile televised murder trials goes on. But will that list soon include the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in the middle of the night? Prosecutors and the defense team for Bryan Kohberger today argued against cameras in the courtroom during a hearing. But the families of at least 2 of the 4 victims tell NewsNation the trial should be televised, should be as public as possible. NewsNation senior national correspondent Brian Entin is live outside the courthouse in Idaho. All right, break down what each of the sides were saying here, what the families are arguing, and when will the judge make a decision?
Yeah, perhaps what was the most interesting today, Elizabeth, and this hearing just ended behind me about 15 minutes ago, is what the judge said. The judge over the case, Judge is his name, doesn't seem to be much of a fan of the media. He says he's concerned that cameras in the courtroom lead to a circus-like atmosphere, that it's a spectacle. He actually used the O.J. Simpson trial as an example in court just now, saying that it totally spun out of control because of the cameras in the courtroom. And he said he's less concerned about the reporters who are actually inside the courtroom taking notes and the photographers in the courtroom, and he's more concerned about social media and people who manipulate the images and sort of try to tell their own story of what really happened. A lawyer who represents the media spoke to the judge and said, look, the concern is if you don't have cameras, that then those people on the outside, the people on YouTube and the people who manipulate things can manipulate it even more. It's sort of like they're functioning in a vacuum without any real way of knowing what happened inside the courtroom. Responsible news consumers have a right to know exactly what's happening and to see the trial in real time. You brought up the families. 2 of the families, the Mogans and the Gonzalez's, have both said publicly that they want the cameras. They feel like there's already been too much secrecy with this entire trial all along, and they want it to be open and public and transparent. I spoke to Steve Gonzalez, Kaylee Gonzalez's father, about what he thought. Take a listen.
The community needs to determine who this individual is. You cannot ask for the community to do the death penalty without their vision, without their support, without their understanding of all the aspects of the case. It's more than just the jury members. It's the community. It's a message for everybody to understand. In Idaho, this is how we work. To me, the courtroom is truth in action. So why do we hide that?
So the judge did not make a decision today, Elizabeth. It's unclear exactly when he will make a decision. He says he's going to go back, review what both sides have said, review what the attorney representing the media coalition had to say today, and then we'll issue a decision later. Elizabeth?
Hey, Brian, did the families have a chance to make their feelings clear to the judge?
That's a really interesting question. And when I talked to Steve Gonzalez, he said that's the reason that he was talking to me, and that's the reason they actually issued the statement, because they felt like that was their only way to communicate to the judge and the prosecution. They say they weren't asked what they thought about any of this, but they're hoping by talking to the media, at least they'll be part of the conversation.
I find that really difficult to believe they're victims in this case, and that nobody would take into account how they feel. And by the way, the least amount of spectacle is to have a single camera in the courtroom so everybody doesn't have to run in and out of there and, you know, create a lot of made-up stuff about what they think is happening in there. Okay. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.